UFC 309. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure you share the video too. And also note, I'm going to be live for the entire UFC 309 fight card Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight of the night. Ladies going after it. Earlier in the week, I picked Veronica Hardy, but I did mention that it's going to be really interesting to see Eduarda Moura at her true natural weight class of 125. In the UFC, she's missed weight twice, attempting 115. But outside of the octagon, she was actually fighting at 125, which is women's flyweight, in her matchup here with Hardy. I think she's a pretty talented prospect, but I do believe for sure Hardy has the better striking. The scales are something that I think had to be of major consideration here. Was Moura potentially lazy? Was she going to end up missing weight at 125? No. She came in at 125 and looked pretty good on the scales. Now, I have said she has a grappling advantage throughout the week. I think she's better at wrestling and better at jiu-jitsu. Hardy is definitely quicker with better striking, but it's really going to come down to, can Hardy stay away from her? Now, we're going to look at the scales and check them out. Eduarda Moura looks absolutely sensational. Shredded and jacked, python biceps, especially for women's MMA. You see the shoulder muscles. She came in looking fantastic. She's a training partner of Jailton Almeida, and the hype on her was she is the female Jailton Almeida. Maybe she'll showcase it at 125. This one has me thinking, and Veronica Hardy looked good. But look at the difference in muscularity, right? Veronica Hardy looks like a fit woman. Eduarda Moura looks like a Brazilian specimen. She's jacked. She's strong. She looks good at this weight. Women's underdog to start the night. Am I going to pick flip it? Side by side, Moura's bigger. If Moura's gas tank can hold up, she's going to be able to outwork Hardy on the ground. She's going to be able to control position. She's going to make her uncomfortable. Guys, I'm doing it. Women's pick flip. I'm going to go towards Eduarda Moura because she looks sensational on the scale, and I felt like this was kind of a 50-50 fight. Veronica Hardy's crafty. She's definitely good on the feet, but she has been taken down in the past. Granted, it's not like girls are able to get great control over her in recent fights, but you got to look at stylistic matchups. I mean, I'm thinking about Hardy's last couple. Juliana Miller, who turned out to be a complete can. Jamie Lynn Horth, close split decision there. And I thought Horth lost to Petrovic. And Horth looked kind of strong in moments of that fight. And she beat J.J. Aldrich, who's crafty but a journeywoman. Eduarda Moura was real close with Diniz Gomes, but down in weight. And she did gas out. She was able to land some takedowns in this fight. I think Moura can eke out a 29-28 decision. If she can get control of Hardy, if she can tie up with her, she can land takedowns, garner some control time from top position. I think Eduarda Moura might actually be a sneaky pick flip for me. I wasn't planning on pick flipping anything until I made sure I sat down and I watched the damn weigh-ins in depth. And I felt it at the face-off, yes, but especially seeing the official weigh-ins. Moura looks fully like built for this weight class. Like, she seems like a legit women's flyweight. I don't even know how she was making women's strawweight. And I'm thinking that if Moura is as strong as I'm thinking in the clinch, the takedowns and control from top position could be way too much for Hardy. Hardy's striking is not bad, but is it going to be enough to keep Moura off of her? We'll find out if Moura's got no gas tank, though. Because Eduarda Moura in the past, specifically the Gomes fight, was gassed out, and she was shooting takedowns from way out of range. But failed weight cut, which she looked like she really was trying to make the weight, could definitely have been impeding her UFC performances. I'm going to have some faith in Moura. I believed in her when she came into the UFC. She lost a lot of hype after the Gomes loss, but is a loss to Diniz Gomes really that bad? Gomes is pretty good. But then looking good on the scale was the ultimate decision maker. If Moura was to come in shape, I knew throughout the week that I would consider flipping sides. And I think that she is a live underdog at plus 110. Hardy minus 130, the favorite. I think Moura could pull through on this one. And looking at it, over 2.5, minus 325. I think we're live to go long in this ladies fight. I think that Hardy will have decent striking opportunities, but Moura is going to smother her. And I think it's going to be difficult for Hardy to keep Moura off of her. I think there'll be moments where she's able to create some space and strike, but I think Moura will be pretty active with takedowns. I could see her beating her up from full guard. I can see her controlling her against the cage. Looking good on the scale. I'm going to have faith that she also has the cardio. And if Eduarda Moura's got the gas, she can shoot takedowns for 3 rounds. I can see her taking this decision. I'm going Eduarda Moura for the upset. We're doing it. We're doing the flip skis. The pick flip skis is in full effect for this fight right here. Moura by sub plus 550. D-Gen sub call, just if you want to hedge your over potentially. I think Moura is a live underdog. On a 50-50 fight, I feel like the weigh-ins gave me 52% confidence on Moura, and that is why I'm going to go towards her side, because I'm not certain Veronica Hardy can stay on her feet for 3 rounds and strike, and she's not going to do well on her back here. She's not going to threaten with submissions. She's going to get pretty much stifled. At the very least, she'll be controlled but not absorb a lot of damage. But at worst, Eduarda Moura might beat the hell out of her. And you got to think, too, Moura is only 30. She's absolutely in her prime. She's 10-1 as a prospect. There was a lot of hype coming in. As good as Hardy has looked lately, I worry about the grappling. Because you know what? Eduarda Moura working with Jailton Almeida. Say what you want about Jailton. The dude is a tremendous jiu-jitsu practitioner at heavyweight. And I think Eduarda Moura could out-grapple Hardy. So I'm going to go towards Ronda, Eduarda Moura, for a pick flip to start the night off with some excitement. And an underdog win is due for a women's first fight of the night. And I think we're getting it. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card. Oban Elliott versus Bassil Hafez. I've been picking the Welsh gangster, Oban Elliott, all week. I think that he's going to win this fight. And he looked really good on the scales. We'll bring that up in a bit. He's got pretty good defensive abilities in the striking department. Hafez is kind of like a gunslinging brawler, a lot of power in his hands, throws wide and hard shots, loads up looking for violent KOs. He's definitely an intimidating guy. He's in great physical shape. He's jacked as they come. But Oban Elliott is technically superior, and I think Elliott's definitely also going to have a wrestling edge. It's more so, can he survive the early storm from Hafez? I say yes. Last time out, Bassil Hafez put it on Gall, and he won the decision over the 3 rounds. But there was moments where Gall caught him, and he ate a lot of bombs from Gall. As big and jacked as Hafez is, I don't think he has crazy knockout power. I think he just looks scary. And I think Oban Elliott's got good defensive abilities in the striking department. And I also think his straight shots are pretty effective here, as well as his grappling control ability. So I'm going to go with Oban Elliott to win a decision over Bassil Hafez. I think he can deal with the beast. Now let's look at the scales, and let's check these two out. Oban Elliott first. To be honest, though, Oban Elliott's looking more jacked than last time. His physique's gotten better, man. He's getting in better shape each and every time. He looks shredded up for this fight. He looks intense. Oban's aura is shooting up. Bassil Hafez is built like a freight train, though. Holy shit. Freakishly jacked Bassil Hafez. He was really excited that he made weight. I think he was a little bit worried that he'd come in over. He came in exactly at 171. So definitely seeming to be a harder weight cut for him as opposed to Oban Elliott, who, looked in great shape on the scale, but he didn't look like he was like dying out there. Hafez looked like he had a hell of a cut. Makes sense because of the muscularity on the dude. Face off right there. Oban Elliott with the bit of the beard. Bro, Oban Elliott's got this fight. Oban's the technically superior fighter, and I think technique wins here. In the grappling exchanges, early, I can see Hafez defensively sound due to his physicality, but as this fight wanes on, I think we're going to start to see Oban Elliott land takedowns. I think Oban Elliott can do work from top, and I think he grinds out a decision win over an intimidating and fun stylistic matchup for him in Bassil Hafez, which is a good win on paper. Oban's a huge favorite. I don't know, man. This fight doesn't seem like it should be lined up this wide. At open, it was minus 187. Oban Elliott's technical. Bassil Hafez is not. And, I got to favor a technical guy like Elliott over a brawler like Hafez. Plus 230 for Hafez. I do think Elliott's winning it on the judges' scorecards. Over 2.5, minus 275. Elliott, he's been a notorious decision winner as opposed to anything else. minus 115 for Elliott by decision. The official pick is Elliott to win. I think he can take potentially a 30-27, but even if he struggles early with Hafez's physicality and aggressiveness, I think he can start to shine later. I'm going to say Oban Elliott probably on a unanimous decision here, takes it home against Bassil Hafez and continues to move up the ranks. Really wide favorite status though for him, but a lot of people started respecting his name after he beat Preston Parsons. I picked him against Preston Parsons as a dog when he was completely doubted, and I'm going to pick him here as a chalky favorite against Bassil Hafez. Next fight on the card, we have Gall versus Ramiz Brahimaj. This is a battle of two of the worst welterweights on the roster right now. So essentially what I'm saying is flip a coin on this one. If you're confidently betting either side, good luck to you. That is not my thing here. We got 7-6 Gall and Mr. 5-5 in his last 10, Ramiz Brahimaj. So trading wins and losses as opposed to 3-fight losing streak. Brahimaj technically is due for a win, but I'm picking Gall. I don't know. I'm picking him based on a feeling. If you look, Gall struck pretty well with Bassil Hafez, and if Brahimaj is not able to consistently land takedowns and control from top, I would say Brahimaj is a pretty non-threatening striker. I think he will shine more so than anything else on the ground in this fight, but I also feel like he's kind of an overrated grappler. I mean, if you look, wins over Sasha Polidnikov, who's taken L's in karate combat now, and that was 3 years ago, and against Michael Gilmore, who was not even deserving of a UFC contract. He was literally a replacement opponent for the Ultimate Fighter that they brought in. He didn't even make the cut. Ramiz Brahimaj, Themba Gorimbo dominated him, and Court McGhee beat him up. Not awful losses, Max Griffin, but I think Gall could do okay. I know his only recent win is Jordan Williams 3 years ago. He's been looking bad too. Morono decision. Malat laid him clean out. But to be fair, he was busting up Malat on the feet. And Malat's a striking coach. And Bassil Hafez decision. But he had good moments in the fight. I have a feeling Gall is live for a surprise. And I know he's the favorite. So I guess it's not a surprise. It feels like a surprise. Picking Gall feels like you're picking the underdog regardless of odds. Look at Gall. He looks in good shape, man. I think he looks ready to go. Built a lot of hype early in his UFC career, taking on CM Punk. And, didn't have a stellar run to the top. He's 7-6. But is he a 7-7 fighter? I just don't see it. Ramiz Brahimaj, I got to give respect where it's due. He's definitely in good shape. Brahimaj is a pressure fighter. He uses his takedowns. He's going to look for control. He's going to look for submissions. Gall is better at striking, and he does have pretty quality jiu-jitsu, which I think could be effective defensively. There's the face-off. I think Gall is live to win. I'm going to pick Gall. I don't think Gall is going to be a 7-7 pro after this week. Oh, my God. How awful would that be? Gall comes in, beating up CM Punk, and now he's 7-7 as a pro years later. Oh, I'm going to go with Mickey for the win. Yes, he's minus 135. No, it's not something I'll bet on. Brahimaj plus 115. Your better option is sitting back enjoying and rooting for Gall because I would like to see him get a W. And Brahimaj, he's just not super high level, but it's not like Gall is either. I'm not trying to allude to the point that Gall is sensational and he's just had some bad losses. No, Gall's pretty flawed, but he has shown improvements in his striking. It's more so about, can he keep this fight off the ground? Specifically, can he stay off his back? Is Brahimaj just going to lay and pray? Maybe. If Gall pulls off the upset sub plus 550, he's got long arms. He can outstrike Brahimaj. If he can keep it on the feet, we're in the big cage. Maybe Gall's live for the sub, but not really recommending anybody go out and do it. That's just a D-Gen call. If you had to, you're D-Genning it up because Gall's a favorite, and I'm not throwing down Gall as a favorite on a money line. Gall for the W. I'm going to say he's live for a surprise submission, and hopefully he's not a 7-7 pro after this weekend. That'll absolutely suck. But Brahimaj did look good on the scale, to be fair, but I think Gall's good to go. Next fight on the card, fight that I'm excited for, Marcin Tybura versus Jhonata Diniz. I've been picking Jhonata Diniz, and I'm putting him in the Lock City parlay this week. I think Diniz is a sensational heavyweight striker. I know Tybura got the call late to step in here. Diniz was supposed to fight a couple weeks ago on that UFC Edmonton card. The reason I'm picking Diniz, on top of him having, more time to train, besides that point, 22-7 pro kickboxer, serious KO power, but he's a lot more calculated than some of the strikers Tybura has beaten, right? Like Tai Tuivasa is a ballistic brawler with big power, certainly, but absolutely throws caution to the wind. Diniz seems pretty patient with his offensive attack, and he picks his shots nicely. He was also able to deal with Carl Williams, who's a pretty good wrestler, for the first 2 rounds. And I'll tell you this, Carl Williams is a lot more of a mobile striker than Tybura is. Tybura sometimes striking looks like he's stuck in the damn mud. I would say this, Tybura on the ground, he is light years ahead of Diniz, but it's not going to be easy to get Diniz there. I believe Diniz's grappling is consistently improving. If he is able to fend off takedowns and let the hands go, he's confident in striking, he picks his shots well, I'm sure that Jhonata Diniz can knock Marcin Tybura out. I am going to pick Jhonata Diniz by knockout. I think Tybura is going to struggle with the Brazilian striker. We saw Tybura years ago get KO'd against Augusto Sakai, who's kind of a Brazilian striker, and he's not to the level of Diniz. Now, I know I'm using MMA math from years ago. Tybura, as of late, lost to Spivak, okay. Tai Tuivasa win. He was getting busted up. Aspinall KO'd him. He's been KO'd. It's not like Tybura has an iron chin. I know Aspinall's a sensational guy, but Diniz has got big power. Diniz picks his shots well. And I think this could be Diniz's most impressive UFC fight. I'm going Jhonata Diniz as an underdog, and I think he's being slept on. Looks pretty decent on the scale. Not sensational or anything. Not shredded to the gills. He always... I don't know. Now that Kyle Machado's skinny, I'm saying that this is the new Brazilian Peter Griffin right here. And then Marcin Tybura, we catch him from another angle. He looks a little fatter than usual. He looks chubby, man. Dad bod supreme for Marcin Tybura. And you know what? He's not even 40 yet. But I'm telling you, bro, you line his physiques up with most 40-year-old men that aren't into athletics, I think he's in the bottom 20%, which is kind of crazy that he's a professional fighter. All right, let's check out the scale, face-off rather, between the two. We got heavy-set Tybura and Diniz, who somehow has like lined-up abs, but just looks fat still. There's the face-off. I think Diniz is going to win. I think he finds the chin. You can see the glow on Diniz. Tybura, crafty vet, but a test that Diniz has to pass if he's looking to actually make some type of run in this UFC career. And I'm going to have faith that he does. We needed a heavyweight. We need impressive strikers with some takedown defense. And I think Diniz could be just that guy. Plus 120 for Diniz. I'm going underdog. Tybura at minus 140. Looking towards the side of under 2.5, minus 210. Okay, Diniz wins by KO, plus 150, upwards of plus 175. I do think Diniz gets the knockout. The money line is sensational, though, and the straight money line is a great parlay piece. We'll talk parlays at the end. You'll see Diniz's name for sure. If you haven't seen my parlays of the week, I'll make sure I showcase them today for a little reiteration. Diniz for the W. Impressive win, I think, incoming. I think he sleeps Marcin Tybura. I think Tybura is going to be looking to grapple. Might have a hard time getting inside on Diniz. Also add into the fact that Diniz been fighting at the apex. The small cage favors the pressure wrestling styles. We're in the big cage. Diniz going to have a lot of room to strike, and I think that is going to be massive for him. Tybura, even that recent win against Tuivasa, who's a good striker, the small cage, I think, also played a factor in that fight. Not this one. Diniz for a knockout, impressively, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Jhonata Diniz getting it done. I believe in the prospect, and I think that he showed some big power in other fights, and even though he didn't sleep Carl Williams, I took a lot of positives away from the performance. Roberto Romero versus David Onama. I'm going with David Onama. Late notice addition. Romero's got balls for stepping in, though. He was originally not scheduled for this card, and Onama was going to be fighting Lucas Almeida. But Roberto Romero gets the call up, and he says, yes, respect the gonads. The dude is a tough Mexican pressure fighter. His striking's not bad. He's kind of got that Mexican boxing style. His takedowns and control is pretty good, but he did lose a fight recently, and he kind of got tired in round 3, and that was a fight that, you know, was against someone who's 5-2, not necessarily an Onama. Kind of reminds me of the Garrett Armfield situation with Onama. Granted, Armfield actually fought Onama as an amateur as well, but besides that point, I don't think Romero's a bad prospect, and he could end up getting some wins. He's only 24. But I think David Onama is a powerful guy with proven grappling defense. He's like hard to hold in positions. He spins out of positions like Michael Chandler at times. He did that with Jonathan Pierce. He's landed some big shots. I mean, knocking out Gabriel Santos is a big win. And then even this fight, he was dropping Nate Landwehr. I don't think Romero has a chance here. Taking the fight on short notice. He's going to be looking to wrestle. We're in the big cage. Onama's got a lot of room to work. He's got good hips. He's explosive as hell with big punching power. I think Onama is chinning Roberto Romero, and I think we got a violent knockout incoming. Romero looks good on the scale, though. For a short notice guy, he looks good. Granted, this fight's at 155. Obviously, Romero on short notice wasn't going to make 45. There's David Onama. He looks pretty good, too. Looks ready to rock and roll. Looks like Onama normally does, man. He's got the fucking stud earrings in. This dude's ready to show out. And then we got the face-off. Bro, Onama is dark, man. Look at that. Complexion difference is crazy. That's actually insane. Listen, I'm telling you, the Dark Knight is going to take him out. I think David Onama is going to drop some bombs on Roberto Romero, man. I'm really excited. I like Onama's style a lot. Dangerous boxing, clean power. I think he's fairly well-rounded. Romero might come out crazy in round one and have success very early, but Onama will eventually find that chin. Romero probably gasses in the second round, even if we get that far. If we get that far is a big thing. If. We're going with Onama. Violent win. I like Onama's chances a lot. He's a minus 1,200, minus 900. Depends where you go. Romero's plus 750. Let's look here. Under 2.5 at minus 210 makes a ton of sense to me. Onama by KO is minus 110. I think Onama's getting a knockout. I think he's live for it in the first 2 rounds. Under 1.5 plus 105. Depends if Romero's able to clinch. Onama KO round 1, or we're just winning round 1 plus 200, plus 280. Nah. Knockout, maybe. Onama straight parlay piece. Onama inside distance minus 245 could be a parlay piece. I think Onama gets a finish, man. Earlier in the week, I didn't use Onama's prop of inside distance or knockout in anything. Not because I didn't think it was going to happen, but those lines just hadn't dropped yet. But maybe we'll go over something at the end with Onama to win it inside of the distance or potentially by KO. I'm talking like I'm Hispanic, bro. The distance, inside the vit. I'm going Onama. Silent Assassin, a.k.a. the Dark Knight, with a violent KO. Next fight on the card. Jim Miller versus Damon Jackson. Old man Jim Miller still kicking it. I'm picking Damon Jackson, especially at 155, man. Damon Jackson normally looks horrendous on the scales, so going to be fun to analyze his way in here. The reason I'm picking Damon Jackson is because I think he can put a pace on Jim Miller. Jim Miller at this point isn't really comfortable with these high-paced pressure fighters or just guys that throw a lot of volume. And like you can say, yo, but look how many wins he's racked off. Yeah, but the opponents he's taken on that he's beating are not good. Gabriel Benitez completely washed. Jesse Butler not UFC level. And Cowboy Cerrone a corpse of his old self. And then a loss to Alexander Hernandez, who Damon Jackson beat. And then a loss to Bobby Green. He got pieced up in that fight. He took a lot of damage there. I think Damon Jackson can win. I mean, say what you want. Chepe Mariscal outdogged him, but Chepe's in great shape, and he's absolutely primed. Beat Hernandez by a decision. Split, whatever. It was the right call that he won. And listen, I think the takedowns could be a factor even with Jim Miller. Lost to Billy Q. He did get a little bit outdogged in that fight, but at that time, I don't think Billy Q was washed yet. Dan Ige knocked him out. It's Ige. And then a win over Pat Sabatini actually was super impressive, and that's aged well. Damon Jackson, the way he knocked out Sabatini was violent, and it was quick as hell. Damon Jackson's got okay striking. It's not clean to look at. You're not going to watch Damon Jackson strike and say, wow, I want to strike like him. But it's effective. He lands. He brings pressure. He's in your face. He's got good gas tank and cardio. He's got the ability to land takedowns. And Jim Miller's 41. He can outpace Miller. Jackson's only 36. And we're at 155. You say, oh, but Damon's from 45. He should be smaller. Nah, he's the bigger dude. We'll look at the scales. Let's look at Damon Jackson. Normally, he looks like a dying crackhead on the scale. He just looks like a crackhead now. I'm really happy to see that. He's got some extra fat on him, you know? You can see he's filled in. He looks like a full-size lightweight. Best decision ever. And he's got the hair on his fucking head. Fighting has done Damon Jackson well, man. He's aged in reverse since his hair transplant. So big W to the doctors who pulled that one off. Opposite side, we got old man Jim Miller. He looks like old man Jim Miller now with the gray patch in his beard. Still in good shape, especially for 42. Still absolutely has dog in him. But I just question how he fights at a high pace. And, like, is he going to knock out Damon Jackson in the first 7 minutes? Is he going to catch him in an early gilly? I don't think so. I think Jackson's going to be a problem for him. I'm going to go with Damon Jackson to outwork Jim Miller and pull off the win here. I think he can win a decision. Competitive fight, gritty at moments, and I think Miller lands some hard shots, but Miller will struggle with Damon Jackson's pressure and his durability. Jim Miller is plus 150. Wow, wide line with Damon Jackson at minus 175. The books are really giving you plus 150 for Miller. He's a super popular people's pick this week. Over 1.5 seems like a sure thing at minus 275. Jackson by decision is my official pick. That's plus 150. I think Damon Jackson can outwork Jim Miller. 3 hard rounds, pressure from Damon Jackson. He mixes in some takedowns. Miller has moments, but he can't keep Damon Jackson off of him. And I think that's why Jackson wins. Let's look. 63% of Tapology picking Miller, but seems like the betting lines suggest that they're willing to give you some plus money on Miller. They're not confident old man Jim is taking out Damon Jackson, who's 36 and moving up in weight. I'll tell you something. At 36, moving up to 155 might be the best decision of Damon Jackson's life. I think it keeps his UFC career alive, and I think he takes out an absolute OG in Jim Miller. Next fight on the card, we got Chris Weidman versus Eryk Anders. I've been picking Chris Weidman all week. I just can't bring myself to pick Eryk Anders. Anders got dropped by Jamie Pickett last fight. Anders is essentially like a smothering pressure fighter who uses his wrestling advantages for the most part, but he's taken on Chris Weidman, who's definitely a higher level wrestler than him. I feel like Weidman's striking isn't awful. I know the Bruno Silva win was super controversial because of the eye pokes. I just think that the way Anders fights with that pressure style is kind of going to play into Chris Weidman's game. Anders lost to Barrios in the fight before. Knockout over Dawkins was impressive. Park split is not an awful L. And then Muniz subbing him up. I think that Chris Weidman can win this thing. I think he can win the clinch battle. I think he can have moments in striking. I don't think Anders is out wrestling Chris Weidman. I think Weidman could end up stopping takedowns, landing knees against the cage, potentially taking Anders down. I still think Chris Weidman can wrestle for 3 rounds. And I think he can show out against Eryk Anders here. Lost, obviously, to Brad Tavares, and then 3.5 years ago, snapped his leg. Chris Weidman's got balls for even still fighting after that nasty leg break against Uriah Hall. So we got to give respect to the OG. Eryk Anders is kind of like a career-long journeyman / like bottom of the top 25 gatekeeper for the UFC. And we got Weidman on the other side, who literally was at the highest of highs. He was the damn world champ at middleweight. He was a beast of a champ. Beat legends. To see Anders beat him, I just can't rationalize it. And I'm not going to believe that. I'm picking Chris Weidman. Looking at the scales, for some reason we got a second Moura pick. Eryk Anders. To be honest with you, bro, Anders looks absolutely jacked. He said he's not partying anymore. He said he's taking it serious now. We'll say the physique's paying off, man. Anders looks absolutely shredded up. Chris Weidman looks great, too. He's rocking that hairy chest like Gegard Mousasi, man. Bringing a different feel to the cage is Chris Weidman, though. He's got the clean shave, right? He's not a bearded Weidman for this fight. He's kind of looking like a throwback to his young self. And I think he looks in good shape. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching, but I feel like he looks more muscular than his past couple fights. I think Chris Weidman can surprise. He's an underdog, but it's a close money line. You can look at the face-off. It's not prime Chris Weidman by any means, but I don't think Eryk Anders is good enough to beat him. Even at 40, I think Weidman's going to have the tools to deal with Anders. It's not like Anders is this super quick striker, this sensational submission ace, right, or has crazy power. Anders is essentially a pressure and control-based fighter, and I think that works out really well for this 40-year-old version of Chris Weidman. So I'm going to go Weidman. I think decision's live, but he could land some big knees with the rule set change. I could see knees in the clinch to his opponent, maybe not on the ground, but with his hands down, and then because of that, Anders goes to his knees and Weidman gets on him. Weidman's plus 100 at open. He was plus 142, so a lot of money has come down on him. You can even find him at minus 108. My God, a lot of bets on Chris Weidman this week. And then looking towards this prop betting side, the overs minus 215, I don't like it. Betting on Weidman is super high risk, right? He snapped his leg in half. He's 40 years old. I think he's going to find a way to win, though, but it's definitely a strong gamble. Weidman decision plus 185. Weidman KO plus 700. Can you imagine we get prime Weidman just dropping some bombs on Anders and he knocks him out? Jamie Pickett dropped him, but to be fair, Anders did weather that storm and come back, but he still got dropped by Jamie Pickett, though. So it's something that we got to be worried about his chin. I think All-American Chris Weidman thrives and absolutely shines in this fight. We're going Weidman for the win over Eryk Anders. I'm not going to say he looks in prime form, but I think he looks all right. And he beats Eryk Anders, the career-long journeyman. Let's go Weidman. I'm Team Weidman all the way here. Next fight, our featured prelim of the night. But before we jump to it, I got to pop a Zin in, man. So shout out to the Zins. Word on the street is they're not doing sponsorships. Well, they should hit me up still. We got Jonathan Martinez versus Marcus McGhee. I've been picking Marcus McGhee all week. He's definitely better at boxing. He definitely has heavier hands, and I think he's quicker. Add on to it that literally Jonathan Martinez looks half asleep every time I see him at the weigh-ins. We'll look at the scales in a moment, but like you guys know it's true. In the comments, let me know if you agree, because I think so. Jonathan Martinez picks his shots nicely. He's a good kickboxer. He's smooth on the feet. He's comfortable striking. But Marcus McGhee has better boxing. I'll reiterate it. Hits harder for sure. And I think is faster on his feet too. But on top of all of those factors, if there is a fighter landing takedowns in this fight, it's going to be Marcus McGhee. He can get this fight to the ground. He can control from top position. He's simply a better athlete, too, than Jonathan Martinez. I think McGhee can thrive and shine here. I'm picking Marcus McGhee to win. Not an easy fight, but I could see him being the guy who chins Jonathan Martinez. McGhee looks absolutely insane on the scale. Shredded as fuck. Jonathan Martinez, does he not look half asleep? I've said this before, like Jonathan Martinez's vibe, he's like the quiet kid in the corner that like doesn't get bothered by nobody, doesn't talk to anybody, doesn't look at anybody. He wasn't even intimidated going into the Aldo fight. He wasn't even an Aldo fan leading into it. That's just his aura that he has, man. So something always weird about Martinez is that. But it's a good thing in certain matchups. But look at the muscle density difference. Jonathan Martinez, right? If they tie up, he's getting ragdolled by Marcus McGhee. I think Marcus McGhee is going to win this fight, and I think he's going to put the division on notice with the win over Jonathan Martinez. Look at the side-by-side. Jonathan Martinez, bro, he got the cowboy hat on, bro. Brokeback Mountain Martinez over here. Holy shit. And then we got Marcus McGhee looking kind of like Allen Iverson in his prime, to be fair. Absolutely jacked with muscle. Hopefully they just caught him as he was like, inhaling, because looks like bubble guts McGhee as well. That's something interesting. Intense with the face-off. Nothing too crazy happened. Not like he's going to sway your pick. It's McGhee all day. But, like, look at the muscle size difference between the two. McGhee is a fucking strong and jacked dude. I think Marcus McGhee's going to look good. I'm picking Marcus McGhee to win. Looking at the odds for the fight, McGhee's a slight favorite, minus 125. Martinez, plus 105 is a dog. I like the chances of Marcus McGhee getting it done as a close money favorite. The over is minus 155 live, but McGhee hits hard and he has finishing ability. KO plus 230. McGhee by sub is all the way up at plus 1400. He's only got one submission win, but to be fair, he's underrated with his jiu-jitsu because that one sub win is in the UFC. If you like McGhee inside distance, plus 185. That's a really random reach from McGhee by submission, but can you imagine he locks up a sub, takes Jonathan Martinez down and just absolutely bullies him? I could see him landing takedowns and beating him up. And maybe he's threatening with subs. I like the chances of Marcus McGhee thriving in this fight. This is a really fun feature prelim of the night. Like Jonathan Martinez got that test against Aldo, failed it. Boom. You're not amongst the elite, right? Marcus McGhee, if he beats Jonathan Martinez, now he's got a chance for one of those high-level tests. And right now, I got to ride with the prospect. I've been liking what I'm seeing with Marcus McGhee. He's explosive. He's powerful. He's got better hands. He's going to be dealing with a heavy leg kicker in Martinez, but McGhee is very comfortable in both stances, which can help stifle that leg kick game. And I expect that here in this fight. McGhee for the Dubski. Let's jump to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe it up. We got Mauricio Ruffy versus James Llontop. Of course I'm picking Mauricio Ruffy. Are you surprised? If you didn't see the predictions all week and this is the first time you're hearing it, of course, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. James Llontop is about to get wrecked. Llontop's a fun brawler, okay? He's got a good chin. He hits with some power. His boxing's decent. He'll sit in there and mix it up with a lot of strikers. But Mauricio Ruffy is literally like a Brazilian McGregor vibe. Has that karate-esque striking style. Is very precise. In and out of range very well. Has that nasty counter straight similar to how Conor throws it. He trains at Fighting Nerds. You can't pick against Fighting Nerds right now. First and foremost, that is just the main reason for the pick. Forget how good Ruffy's looked. I think he can win this fight anywhere it goes. He's significantly more powerful. He's significantly cleaner with his technique. And he's going to just be significantly better. On top of everything, James Llontop missed weight, 166.2. This fight is at catch weight because Llontop did accept it on short notice, but he wasn't going to be able to make 155. Can't even make 165. Can't even make 166. Comes in over that limit. Bro, James Llontop, he does not look in good shape for this fight. Like, his arms are up, right? So you're seeing it all stretched out so you can kind of see some visible abs. Nah, he was looking like Dad Bod City. He had that beer belly on him, man. He doesn't look in good shape for this fight. It's a short notice jump. I can see why he missed weight. And then Ruffy looks like a freak. I'm telling you, bro, squint your eyes, it looks like McGregor. This is the Brazilian Conor McGregor. I don't know what McGregor's dad was up to, okay, around the time, Ruffy was conceived. But maybe there's some relation, because I'll tell you, man, the way they move, even the facial structure, the physique, it looks kind of like an upgraded McGregor. I won't lie to you. Let's look at the face-off. Brazilian McGregor for the W. I bet he loves the Brazilian McGregor comparisons. There's the face-off. Look at Llontop, man. He looks way out of shape. Look at the physique difference. That's not fight shape. That's just, I'm just training right now shape. That's average guy shape, right? He's by the pool and nobody's calling him fat. But fighting pro in the damn UFC, I mean, at 155, but at 166 here, not a good look, man. Ruffy looks ready to rock. Dude looks incredibly shredded. Weird bumps on his stomach. Should we zoom into that? The hell are these weird bumps? Let's zoom all the way in. Very sus bumps. Hold on. The only reason I like Ruffy a lot, but these two bumps here are a little bit strange. The reason that I am mentioning them is simply because when you have little abdominal bumps, sometimes that could be because of like a subcutaneous injection. Not saying he's taking anything. I mean, there's legal peptides for fighters at this point, but just something weird that I noticed that I felt is worth mentioning. Either way, I'm a big Ruffy fan. I'm not trying to accuse him of anything because I want the guy to do well and I want the UFC to push him. So hopefully I didn't just, hurt him or something like that. He fails a drug test after this one. They did a double drug test because of this video. Well, I hope not, Ruffy. I hope you're natty, my man. I believe he's natty, but sub. A little bit sus. A little bit sus is all I'm saying. A little weird. All right, so Ruffy at minus 900. Of course, he's going to win. Plus 600 Llontop. If somehow Ruffy loses, I'm telling you, I'm going to be literally freaking out on stream. I might cry because he seems like the most promising lightweight right now. Minus 170 for the over. Listen, I like under 2.5 at minus 170. I think it ends inside distance. Ruffy inside distance, minus 185. I think Ruffy KO, but you get nothing at minus 150. Ruffy sub plus 900. It's a stretch. How many sub wins Ruffy got? No sub wins. But he trains with Caio Borralho. Can you imagine he locks up a sub? Huge plus money for a reason. I wouldn't go out and chase that sub call, just so you know. Just something worth mentioning for fun. But I think KO win. Ruffy gets the knockout. As good as Llontop's chin is, he was KO'd as an amateur. He's not going to be able to take the bombs from Ruffy all night. Give me Mauricio Ruffy to thrive and shine, bro. I'm saying thrive and shine all night. I feel like I'm watching too much Michael Chandler clips all week. All the reaction videos. I'm listening to so much Chandler. I feel like I'm a BS motivational fucking speaker on here, man. Thrive and shine. Pick yourself up from the bootstraps. Mauricio Ruffy. It's your chance. It's your time. Ruffy for the W. Michael Chandler's rubbing off on me, bro. I gotta chill. Next fight on the card. We got ladies going after it. We got Corinne Silva versus Viviane Araujo. Yeah, I'm going Corinne Silva. I think she'll win this fight. I expect her to have the wrestling advantage. I think she can also strike fine with Araujo. Araujo's 37. She's almost 38, actually. A couple days removed from being 38. She's good. Like, Araujo's going to beat a lot of bottom-end women's bantamweights, or excuse me, women's flyweights, even in the rankings I'm talking about. But Corinne Silva seems like she's on that, like, top 7 trajectory, similar to what we saw last time for Araujo as she fought Natalia Silva. takes on another Silva. Corinne Silva's talented, man. She's good everywhere. Her jiu-jitsu is definitely nasty, and she brings in a lot of submission threats, but Araujo never been submitted or finished inside of the UFC. I have to hold that to a high standard, and I think Silva probably racks up a decision win in this fight. Not an easy bout, but a win for Silva. I can see her out-wrestling Araujo for all 3 rounds. Let's look at the scales. Araujo, to be honest, looks great. Araujo looks great, man. Great shape. Small waist, shredded up. She looks awesome. Corinne Silva with the afro. Look at the afro. I said about Araujo, man, listen, if she didn't have, like, you know, the butch vibes, I think she'd be pretty attractive. But, you know, fortunately a little too masculine for my taste. I don't know. Some of you in the comments, I know you might be crazy about her. Maybe she got underrated OF or something like that on the come-up post-fighting. Corinne Silva with the afro reminds me a bit of the OG Jamie Yeager vibes. I don't know if you remember him. He was a complete bust, so she don't fight anything like him. But I think Corinne Silva's going to win. You know, if I let my afro out, it looks like Corinne Silva's. That's funny as fuck. Let's check out the face-offs between the two, all right? Boom, right there. There is the face-off. Corinne Silva looking pretty jacked, but Araujo looks sick too. I think Silva wins it over the course of the 3 rounds. Not a walk in the park, but a win for Silva and a quality test to see where her level's at. Minus 290 for Corinne Silva. Araujo plus 245. Now looking towards the side of an over at minus 280. I got to expect the women to go long. I know Silva's notoriously a good finisher, but I'm not confident in it. Plus 350 for the sub if she did lock something up, and that would be major to do against Araujo, who has never finished as a pro. I think Silva's going to win by decision. What's that decision prop at? Plus 105. Not that exciting, but I think she gets a decision. Over 2.5 probably. Corinne Silva for the win. I don't think she's getting checked in this fight here. I think she passes the, you know, difficult test of Araujo, but like any of the higher level girls get past an Araujo, and I think Silva is of that quality. So Corinne Silva decision. Let's jump to the featured bout of the night. We got Bo Nickal versus Paul Craig. Of course, I'm picking Bo Nickal to win this fight. I mean, is anybody really straying against that side? Paul Craig is not a good striker. His only chance to win is submission. Bo Nickal is a sensational wrestler. He does a ton of grappling, and he seems pretty high level with his grappling IQ. I think Bo Nickal can strike with Craig. I think he can take him down. I think he'll actually be kind of safe on top. As Craig shoots for subs, you're going to notice a clear speed advantage in transition ability for Bo Nickal, which should lead him to the win. I think he can pass Paul Craig's guard, beat him up from side control, potentially even pass to the mount, get his back, and threaten with the sub of his own. I really think Bo Nickal is like levels above of Craig, especially 185 Craig. I think he's looked worse at 185. He's got 1-4 record out of his last 5. Brendan Allen caught him in a rear naked choke. I could see Nickal doing it. Kyle Barrio knocked him out. I could see Nickal touching him up with big strikes. Nickal's got underrated punch and power. People will say, oh, well, Cody Brundage stopped his takedowns. Okay, say what you want about Cody Brundage. Wrestling for wrestling, he's better defensively than Paul Craig. Craig is way too comfortable off of his back for me to pick him against Bo Nickal. At worst, Bo Nickal grinds out a decision win. At best, he submits Paul Craig and really puts the damn middleweight division on notice. People start going nuts for him. Let's check him out on the scale. Look at Bo Nickal here. Bo Nickal looking a little thick-waisted, though. I won't lie. Thick waist Bo Nickal, looking like a savage, though. He looks ready to go. He looks ready to rock. Doesn't need to be shredded. Paul Craig looks insane on the scale. I got to give respect where it's due. And he had the Tony Soprano shirt at the press conference. Like, Paul Craig is going to get a scintillating shout out for aura from me because he's definitely been bringing it this week. But I don't believe he's got the skills to deal with Bo Nickal. Nose to nose, intense face off. Seems like Craig ran out of paint because he didn't paint like his whole face. Normally he does that more often. Good face-off, though. High intensity. I guess it's either you believe Nickal has got the talent or he doesn't. I believe that he does. I think Bo Nickal can outwork Paul Craig. I think he can beat Paul Craig in striking. I think he can beat Paul Craig on the ground. And I think he's going to show out in this fight. So give me Bo Nickal for the W over Paul Craig. I expect him to go out there, and I think he's going to get a finish. I'm thinking maybe rear naked choke. Might make a statement by submitting a good grappler like Paul Craig. Odds for the fight, Nickal's a disgusting favorite at minus 1,500. Craig plus 850 as a massive underdog. Of course, he's a huge dog. This fight going under 2.5 minus 550. I mean, probably over 1.5 plus 140. I just don't know, man. Craig could get smashed in round 1. Depends how Nickal's ground and pound looks, because he could soften Craig up. Nickal by sub is only plus 185. The only thing you can really do here is Nickal as a long shot parlay piece in like 5 legs or more, because you're not going to get much movement in your lines if you add him into anything that isn't like sensational. So yes, Bo Nickal, he's going to be a pick and a wide favorite call. Minus 1,200 is like great odds for Bo Nickal. Does he deserve to be this big of a favorite against a vet like Paul Craig? Probably not. But the promise is real with Bo Nickal, and I just think it's really unlikely Paul Craig is throwing up a sub from bottom and tapping him out. I don't see that happening. I think Bo Nickal's going to be able to dominate this fight from top. I think if they strike, he's going to be able to whoop Craig. I've said it for a long time. Paul Craig has awful boxing. His kicks are nice, but those kicks will get him taken down. And hands for hands, Bo Nickal's got a good chance to knock him out. So give me Bo Nickal for a dominant win, and I'm going to say he gets the finish, and I'm going to say officially submission win, rear naked strangle as the Mystic Mac prediction for this fight. Next fight, we have our co-main event of the evening. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. I'm going with Charlie O. And listen, I'm putting Charlie O in the lock parlay with Diniz, all right? To spoil it for those that don't know. You'll see it again during the parlay section. I love Charles Oliveira's chances in this fight. Chandler's talked about all this improvement and how he's going to come out calmer. I've heard this narrative with Chandler before that he's going to be relaxed. That's just not how he fights. His style is shoot him out of a cannon, he sprints at you, and he's going to throw everything he has early. Could he catch Oliveira and hurt him? Sure. But I don't think he's finishing Charlie O. Charlie O also, I think, looks solid with Arman Tsarukyan, losing a damn close split decision. And fight before that, he made easy work of Beneil Dariush. Oliveira's striking is more polished since their first fight. I think he's more defensively sound since their first fight. And like Michael Chandler 2 fights ago was still dropped by Tony Ferguson. Yeah, he got a sick front kick KO, but Ferguson put him down in the first round. Chandler's way too hittable. On top of that, he's at a big disadvantage of jiu-jitsu. Chandler's a good wrestler, but Oliveira is going to have a massive submission threat that he brings to this fight if they hit the ground. I think since their first meeting, all the way back in, years ago now, 3 years and 5 months ago, I think Charles Oliveira is better. Since that time, Charles Oliveira has beaten Dustin Poirier, who beat Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje, who beat Michael Chandler. Both of those fights were great, but Chandler lost. Lost to Makhachev, right? But he had some okay moments, and yeah, he got finished, but it's Makhachev. Destroys Dariush and loses a split decision against the most promising up-and-coming contender in the weight class and the top guy who's going to be fighting fucking Makhachev, Tsarukyan. Like, come on. I'm not writing Charlie O off. I don't think Michael Chandler at 38 has somehow evolved and gotten better in his 2-year layoff. I think a time out of the cage could be worse for him, and I think Charles Oliveira is going to beat him. I'm going Charlie O for the W all day. Charles Oliveira beats him on the feet and potentially clubs and subs him. Look at Michael Chandler. Look at Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler looks jacked. Michael Chandler looks shredded. Michael Chandler looks ready for war. But, as good as the physique is, I don't think he has the tools to take out Charlie O. I don't see it. Charles Oliveira recently had a son, okay? Dad Oliveira coming in for a massive W. I like the chance of it. Look at Charles Oliveira. He looks ready to kill, man. I got a good aura from Oliveira all week. He seems to have leveled up. He seems to be a new level Charles Oliveira, and I think he's taking Michael Chandler out. We got the face-off between the two, a little nose-to-nose action. I'll tell you this, Chandler is absolutely jacked. Dude has one of the most impressive physiques in the lightweight division ever. I will stand on that. But he is not going to beat Charles Oliveira. I just don't see it happening. No way. There's the nose-to-nose phase. Oliveira's taller. Oliveira's longer. Oliveira's cleaner. Oliveira's more powerful. Charles Oliveira's going to get a nice win here. I'm feeling Oliveira a lot. I'm staring at him. I'm starting to slur my words. I'm mesmerized by the aura, man. Charlie O for the W. Another title run. It ain't over yet. And Michael Chandler ain't the guy taking him out. Minus 255 for Charles Oliveira. Michael Chandler sitting at plus 215. Give me Charlie O for a violent win. Getting the fans going wild. I'll be going wild. Holy shit, I can't wait. Over-under is risky. Under 2.5 at minus 275 likely. Oliveira inside of the distance, I think, but it's minus 200. Charlie O by sub, plus 140. KO plus 250. Only way to play it for me is either Charlie O inside distance in a parlay or just straight money line Charlie O. Or maybe you're going that under 2.5. I think Charles Oliveira beats Michael Chandler. I think it's an impressive win. I think the fans are going to go absolutely crazy. And me included, I'm going to go nuts in this fight. I think he can catch Chandler on the feet still. His striking's been looking clean. I think his striking's gotten better, like I said, since their first fight. He could hurt Chandler worse this time on the feet. And I think his jiu-jitsu's cleaner. He's faster on the ground. Michael Chandler's going to throw caution to the wind, but when he gets hit, we're going to find out who's got the quit in him. And even though Chandler tries to walk away from the narrative that he pushes, that Oliveira's got quit in him, he said on Helwani's show he still believes that Oliveira has that quit on him. He tried to walk it back during the presser because he was getting flack for it. Oliveira don't have the quit in him. Chandler actually does, and Oliveira will break Michael Chandler. Let's jump to our main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe it up. We got Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. What a crazy fight week. Jones ducking Aspinall being the main topic of the whole MMA community for the most part, but he's still got a fight coming up Saturday. He's got to get through Stipe, and I have been picking him to beat Stipe. When he gets on top of Stipe, not if, it's when. Stipe's not going to be able to get him off. Jon Jones is going to be an absolute monster from top position. He's going to be a beast with ground and pound. He's going to control Stipe, and he's going to finish him with either ground and pound or a submission win. As good as Stipe is on the feet, it's going to be hard to keep it there against Jon Jones. Even if Jon Jones doesn't get him down with the first shot, he can work clinch strikes. He can press Stipe against the cage. He can work kicks from the outside. Stipe's 42. How quick is he going to be? How good is his timing going to be? Yeah, sure, he's still going to have a big, heavy punch, but he's not fighting a slow, plodding heavyweight. He's fighting Jon Jones, and to be fair, a Jon Jones who physically looks in way better condition than he did against Ciryl Gane. We're about to bring up the scales, and we'll look at an improved heavyweight Jon Jones, a more jacked heavyweight Jon Jones. Jon Jones looks leaner and stronger than ever before. There's Stipe, who, you know what, looks still solid, but he does look 42. Muscularity is good, coming in heavier. Against freaking Ngannou, he was in the 230s. Here, he's almost 250. He was 248. He looks big. And he's thinking that that size will be an advantage, but he's going to be a lot slower than Jones. Jones, for heavyweight, looks relatively lean. Still a little bit of a pot belly there, but it's like, you know, a muscular pot belly. And when he brings the arms up, you see some visible abs. 4-pack Jones is the right look for heavyweight Jones, and it's the right move for this fight against Stipe, who historically has been on the smaller end of heavyweight. Him coming in heavy, I don't know if that's a great move. Normally, something that's so good about Stipe is his footwork and speed. I think Jon Jones is going to drag this fight to the ground. I think he's going to beat Stipe up with ground and pound. I think this fight could look similar to the second Gustafsson fight. I think Jones is live for a submission from top position. I think he's live to beat the shit out of him and finish him with those elbows. Maybe even some 12-6 elbows to kind of put a stamp on the rule change after, you know, when you think about it, the only reason he's got one loss, which it wasn't a loss, because he nearly killed Matt Hamill with illegal elbows years ago. I think Jon Jones is going to dominate. I think Jon Jones is going to absolutely wreck Stipe Miocic on the ground. As good as Stipe is with his boxing, and normally, listen, Stipe's got pretty good wrestling in his own right. Jones is a different level. He'll find a way to put him down, and when he does, it's going to be damn hard for Stipe to get back up to his feet. Listen, he's 42. It's hard for him to get up if he trips and falls, okay? Him getting taken down by Jones, he ain't moving that heavy car off of him. No way. Absolute flame of Stipe there. I'm sorry, Stipe. You're a good man. Intense face-off. Jones a little taller. Jones looks just as thick, though. He looks like a legit heavyweight. He looks lean. I'm not saying a 42-year-old Stipe is ending Jon Jones' unbeaten streak. Championship fights undefeated. I think he's still the man. I think he gets past the Stipe Miocic test. And then the eyes are going to be on Jones if he takes the Aspinall fight. But listen, that's a narrative for post-fight. -700, Jon Jones is a massive favorite in this fight. Stipe Miocic sitting at +500 as a big underdog. It's crazy to see Stipe as this big of a dog. Does Jon deserve to be this big of a favorite? Maybe not, but Stipe hasn't fought in like 3.5 years since that Ngannou knockout loss. I think we're going under 3.5, which is -275. I think under 2.5 at -135 is live. Jones inside distance is what I've been saying all week. The line sucks at -300, but it's a confident pick. I think as he gets on top of Stipe, he will finish him off. KO is +115. sub plus 225. I like Jones as a parlay piece more than anything else. He's a confident pick. He has to be. Jones in round 1 would be sensational at plus 350. Excuse me, plus 250. It's 350 for round 2. I like Jones to win. I think he gets it done inside of the distance. I think when he gets on top of Stipe, Stipe will not have an answer. He's not going to have the get-up game from bottom. He offers no jiu-jitsu threat from bottom. He ain't trying to throw up an armbar like Vitor back in the day. His get-up ability is not going to be great. I don't think he's going to have that much speed on the feet. He'll definitely have power. Stipe is big at 248. He definitely hits hard. But I don't think Stipe is laying Jon Jones out. I just simply can't believe it. I think that Jon Jones strikes well from distance, times his shots, gets on top of Stipe, and finishes him on the ground. I'm going to say ground and pound very live, but don't be shocked if he locks up a submission either. I think Jon Bones Jones is absolutely still the man. I'm not going to overlook a massive win over Cyril Gane where he completely ran him over. And I know he dealt with a pec tear since that fight, but seems to be rehabilitated. Seems like the body's back to performing. And Stipe hasn't fought in 3 years and 7 months, more than 3.5 years. Last win, 4 years and 2 months ago against Daniel Cormier, who now, holy shit, doing commentary only. And we got to get Daniel Cormier on that damn Weight Watchers. But, that's a subject for another day. Jon Jones and still champ. And I think that he's been ducking Aspinall all week. So the UFC will pay him massive amounts of money. And I hope that Dana White can get that fight made. Because I need to see how Jon Jones looks against Aspinall. Obviously, he's still got to get past Stipe. And I'll tell you this, after this fight between Jones and Stipe, I think I'll get a true answer to who I strongly feel is going to win between Jones and Aspinall. And I'm looking forward to getting that question answered. So Jon Jones, still champ, beating Stipe Miocic, defending the belt, and adding to his legacy, but probably needs another one at heavyweight. And I think that will probably put him down as heavyweight GOAT if he went out and took the fight against Aspinall and won. Dana White said he'll get Pereira if he beats Aspinall. But, shit, Pereira's going to have to deal with Ankalaev. I don't know. That's a hard fight, too. We'll see what happens. We're looking way too far in the future. But this weekend, I think Jon Jones is a winner. And I think he's finishing Stipe Miocic on the ground in impressive fashion and getting the respect back on his side, at least a little bit of it. And then we're going to move quick because the Aspinall fight is going to be all everybody will be talking about come Sunday, me included. Those are the predictions for UFC 309. But listen, we're not done yet. I want to look at the parlays. So throughout the week, this was from Wednesday, I dropped my confident parlays. And I still have to say, I think I'm on to something good with a lot of these parlays. I think my mind's in the right place. We have, obviously the Super D-Gen one at plus 30,000. That would be insane if that comes to fruition. But because we're live, okay, I want to do a D-Gen parlay on the spot. So for the screenshotters that just booked out, sorry, you're missing this one. All right, we're doing Jones inside of the distance. It's going to be the same as that D-Gen one, but I'm adding more chaos to it because I just want to see. This is pure degeneracy. This is not me telling you high confidence call. It's definitely coming to fruition. You're better off doing straight fighter picks, not doing all props. But sometimes you got to risk it all, okay? You got to go savage mode to chase something crazy, and it would be a monumental call if it does come to fruition. All right, Damon Jackson decision. I'm getting it all up before I read the line off to you. I'm not just dilly-dallying over here. I'm just getting all my lines put together, okay? Diniz, I'm not putting him in by KO. I'm just going to put him in straight because he's already at plus money. Why chase the KO there? Silva by decision for the ladies fight. I think a lot of these props are going to end up hitting. These are good props. Okay. We need Ruffy by KO. Where's my boy Ruffy? There he is. Where's the KO line, which sucks. But for the parlay, it adds excitement. Ruffy by KO. And then the Hardy Moura, I'm going to leave the over. I did have a pick flip to Moura, but I still feel like it's probably going longer. But Moura, decent underdog. Risky fight, though, to bet down on. Onama, but I'm going to put Onama inside of the distance, all right? We're going to go Onama inside distance, not just money line. So the Super D-Gen call, I just wanted to add it in because I didn't get to do it because Onama's line was only money line available on Wednesday. Super D-Gen at plus 40,958. It's what you see on the bottom of the screen, but you're going Onama inside distance, and you're going Jon Jones inside distance too for pure lottery ticket play. As far as the confident calls, Jones and Oliveira, I love. I think Oliveira Diniz is a great dog lock city. I see that coming. Silva, Nickal, and Ruffy seems like money zone. Jones, Nickal, Ruffy, and the over in the Moura fight seems very live. A lot of confident picks. I mean, the confident calls are still standing. I'm trying to think, is there anything I want to add? Maybe if you want to go like an alternate parlay, you're going Onama inside of the distance at minus 250. And then I think Bassil Hafez gets beat. I think he gets outworked. Let's find Bassil Hafez and Oban Elliott, my guy Oban. Where's Oban? They got him all the way at the top. Damn. Minus 111, Elliott, Onama inside distance. Do we believe in Marcus McGhee? Pure alternate shit at plus 237. I don't know. I like to throw a mix. I know some of you guys maybe don't agree with everything, but at least we can find, you know, eye-to-eye calls on certain parlays. I think the confident picks are hitting. I think we're catching big W's this week. I'm confident with all my calls. I hope you guys enjoyed an amazing show. It's been a great week's worth of content for UFC 309, and it doesn't stop because I'm live for the full card, and then I'm doing the recap after 309. So tune into the channel Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Much love to the people. Make sure you guys smash the like button on your way out. If you're new, subscribe it up. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning into the show. Let me know what you think in the comments below of the picks. Now, if you got nothing to say, though, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thanks for watching, everybody. I see you all in the next one. Peace out.